and that is the president leaving the Oval Office for the last time, and he will do that. Yes, this is history. January the 20th, 2009, he walked into the Oval Office first time.
What a great honor to be able to introduce for the first time ever anywhere the 45th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
Everyone gathered here in Washington today came to celebrate President Trump's inauguration. Protesters lined part of the parade route, and in some parts of the Capitol, there were confrontations with police. And tomorrow here in Washington, a women's march and demonstrations planned across this country. ABC's David Curley witnessed the protests firsthand.
The anger reaching a boiling point in the nation's capital after President Trump took the oath of office. Police in riot gear facing off against the protesters just 6 blocks from the inaugural parade. Unleashing pepper spray, concussion grenades, all to disperse the crowd.
They've been using pepper spray out of canisters. So you have the bulk of the protesters right here, and here's the police line right at 13th.
Trash cans, and then 3 vehicles set on fire.
2 vehicles have been ignited. The fire folks have just moved in.
Many of the protesters cloaked in black with their faces covered.
The protesters had filled the street with several trash cans, and now police and fire are trying to move them out of the way.
Earlier in the day, self-proclaimed anarchists smashed Washington storefronts with hammers. Across the country, there were other but peaceful protests in dozens of cities, from Boston to Minneapolis. These people forming a human chain across the Golden Gate Bridge.
To the index tonight, raw nerves across central Italy. 4 strong earthquakes hitting the region within several hours. All 4 of magnitude 5.1 or greater. Families huddling in shelters. The same area devastated last year by deadly quakes, claiming 300 lives. Tremors felt today in Rome. No reports of injuries.
Breaking news, an avalanche bearing a mountain hotel in Italy. The search for survivors is on right now, and ABC's Lama Hassan has all the latest details for us from London. Lama.
And good morning to you, Robin. Yeah, a harrowing rescue effort is underway right now after 4 powerful earthquakes hit central Italy on Wednesday, unleashing an avalanche. Rescuers reporting they received a text overnight saying, quote, "Help, help, we are dying of cold." And this morning, those rescuers desperately searching for survivors. Survivors saying they're calling out, but no one is answering.
This morning, the first images of the destructive avalanche, the sheer force of it pushing snow through the windows of the 4-star Rigopiano Hotel, shattering glass and blocking rooms, stopping rescuers from going in. This man, one of at least 2 survivors saved this morning. Authorities saying at least 30 people are still missing, with reports of several dead. They reached the place and saved 2 people. The chief of Italian Civil Protection says now they're working to bring other means of transportation. They're checking the conditions that are prohibitive, even for technical rescue. Alpine rescue teams rushing to the scene, reaching the hotel by helicopter and on foot, after initially being blocked by fallen trees and heavy snow overnight. The popular ski resort located about 30 miles from the coastal city of Pescara. A series of strong earthquakes hit the region on Wednesday, including one with a 5.7 magnitude.
Well, with many feared still trapped under all of that snow, it's a race against time to reach them. Teams with vital rescue equipment are at this hour still trying to reach the scene.
Say you're an officer out on patrol and you see this. What in the world? You see the clouds light up with the reflection from this giant ball of fire? I mean, what is even going on here, right? Well, this was in Spearman, Texas. It's in the panhandle of Texas, and it happened on Monday night. Now, you can see this giant fireball erupt, but exactly what was it? Well, it was a natural gas line that had ruptured, and it caused the explosion. Fortunately, no one was hurt, and the fire did eventually burn itself out, but wow, what a video to be caught on a dash cam of all things.
Sounds like a bomb just went off outside our house.
I was just calling to find out if we knew what this big boom was.
All the neighbors are outside that, and we all heard it.
It rattled the house, the windows, and everything. It sounded like we were in downtown Fallujah. Oh my goodness, I thought I heard that here.
The geography of the Louisiana coastline is quickly changing. A state-commissioned report predicts rising water could swallow more land along the Gulf of Mexico if nothing is done to address damage caused by climate change and commercial activity. Jeff Glor is in Plaquemines Parish to show us how the landscape and its history are becoming overrun by rising water. Jeff, good morning.
Nora, good morning. Hurricanes Katrina and Rita did so much damage here in 2005, but the land losses have continued. Louisiana loses, on average, a football field worth of land every hour. And that affects just about every way of life you can imagine down here. Businesses, homes, tourism, cultural history. All of it is protected by the islands and estuaries that, as we saw, are rapidly going away. If you want to see what's happening to the coast of Louisiana, it's hard to find a better spot than Adams Bay, about 50 miles southeast of New Orleans.
Those are the reeds, right there?
We went riding on water that was once lush with marshland and arrived on a small piece of land that will soon be submerged.
Oh, it's terrible. It's being eaten away, and it's being eaten away fast.
Brian Ostahowski is an archaeologist with the Louisiana Archaeological Society. He showed us Lemon Tree Island, inhabited from prehistoric times through the 1800s. Pieces of pottery, glass, and other ancient artifacts are everywhere, but not for long.
We're not doing excavations out here. We're doing like emergency documentation. Within the next 2 years, all these sites are going to be gone.
Ostahowski says rising sea levels and commercial development have led to erosion threatening not just Lemon Tree Island, but much of the coast. A new master plan released by the Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority shows what's happened to Louisiana over the past 85 years. From 1932 to 2010, Louisiana lost 1,900 square miles, an area the size of Delaware. Another map shows what may be lost over the next 50 years from erosion, if nothing is done. It's not just artifacts that'll be washed away.
Coastal communities that are really important to the offshore oil and gas industry essentially become islands out there in the middle of nowhere, in the Gulf of Mexico, essentially. That means storm surge comes further in, water levels are deeper. That means coastal communities are flooded. This has real impacts for people.
Denise Reed is the chief scientist of the Water Institute of the Gulf, an organization that consults with state agencies and private companies on where restoration is needed and how much that restoration will cost.
Most of it is sea level rise. It's coming home to roost. Other systems are starting to experience increased high tides, flooding in streets. Sea level rise is becoming real for many, many coastal communities. And so understanding what goes on here really is a great way of not just showing the problems in other systems, but also what kind of hope they can have from the future.
The new master plan of 2017 calls for an investment of more than $50 billion over 50 years. The money would be used to build barrier islands and improve wetland habitats.
$50 billion is a lot of money. Who pays for that?
$50 billion is a lot of money. This is a really huge problem. This is the delta of the 6th largest river in the world. You know, it's been a great resource for this nation for hundreds of years. Now it's kind of time for payback.
It is with a heavy heart that we must tell you that in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, there have been 4 reported deaths due to a storm that struck that community earlier this morning, and right now people still sifting through the wreckage. There are first responders that are going door to door trying to extract people from homes that have been ripped to pieces.
Breaking overnight chaos on the streets of Australia's second largest city when a man drove his car right into a crowd. At least 3 people were killed in the Melbourne attack, but unlike similar attacks in Germany, France and Israel, this does not appear to be terror related. At least 20 people were injured and the suspect was taken into custody. The Australian Open is underway there in Melbourne right now and was not affected.
NASA is working to uncover the mystery behind an asteroid that may contain a priceless treasure trove of minerals. The space agency is planning to send an unmanned spacecraft to the chunk of metal in our solar system known as 16 Psyche. Some scientists estimate its minerals could be worth $10,000 quadrillion. That's a 1 with
what is that number, Nora?
19 zeros behind it. Count them all. Carter Evans visited NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California to learn what's behind its out-of-this-world value.
When the film Armageddon debuted almost 20 years ago, the idea of getting up close to an asteroid seemed like science fiction.
There's some stuff in here I ain't never seen.
Not anymore.
We've been to all the different planets, we've been to other asteroids, but we've never visited a body that has been made of entirely metal.
Now NASA, led by researchers at Arizona State University, plans to send an unmanned spacecraft to orbit 16 Psyche, an asteroid roughly the size of Massachusetts, made of iron and other precious metals. The mission's leader at Arizona State estimates the iron alone on today's market would be worth $10,000 quadrillion. That's a 1 followed by 19 zeros.
Is there any plan to take advantage of all the metal that may be on an asteroid like this?
We're going to learn about planetary formation, but we are not going to be trying to bring any of this material back and using it for industry.
And liftoff of OSIRIS-REx.
NASA already launched a separate mission to an asteroid last September with plans to return to Earth with a sample. And a private company called Planetary Resources is working to develop a satellite geared toward potentially lucrative asteroid exploration.
Do you expect that people would want to go mine that someday?
Well, you know, let's go explore it first and see what it's made of, and then we can let people decide what they want to do with it.
Once the Psyche mission launches in 2023, it'll take 7 years to get to its out-of-this-world destination.
Well, ghost guns, it's a popular trend in the gun industry and now raising some big concerns about your safety out there.
Untraceable gun kits sold right here in Tampa Bay. And I-Team investigator Jared Holbrook found you don't need a background check or a license to make or sell one.
They can do it in the confines of their garage or their home, and nobody will know.
last July on the streets of Baltimore.
We just heard gunshots in the back of our alley.
Dayton Harper shoots at police officers with this assault rifle.
And how many shots did you hear? Maybe 4 or 5.
Officers fired back and killed Harper. In California 3 years earlier, John Zawahiri uses this assault rifle on a shooting spree. Police say he killed his father and brother at home, then fired dozens of shots at Santa Monica College, killing 3. What do both of these guns have in common? They had no serial numbers, no scratches, they were homemade, and are untraceable. A shock to Baltimore's police commissioner.
You know, I was on the scene and we're looking at it and we're all wondering what to call it and what do you think it is and how would you describe it? That was a big part of the conversation.
Law enforcement call them ghost guns or 80% guns, and they're becoming more popular.
Our biggest concern is we can't trace the guns.
Assistant Special Agent in charge of ATF's Tampa office, Dave Brown, says these homemade guns are becoming a huge problem for law enforcement.
The public needs to know that we are seeing these guns, unfortunately, in the criminal element.
The I-Team found 80% gun parts are easy to find on the internet. They don't require a background check, and they're completely legal.
Because an 80%er, there's no difference between this and a paperweight.
Mark Serbu with Serbu Firearms in Tampa explains the only part of an assault rifle required to have a registered serial number is the lower receiver. But an 80% lower receiver isn't fully developed. Therefore, by law, it's not considered a firearm.
And what needs to be done is this pocket needs to be machined out, as you can see, and then the holes need to be drilled. The safety hole, the hammer hole, and the trigger hole.
We found there are at least 6 manufacturers making 80% lower receivers in Central Florida. They're sold in some local stores. You can even buy them online. The seller doesn't need a dealer's license because by law, they are not considered guns. We even found a template you can buy to make it easier to finish drilling out the holes needed to complete your kit. Video tutorials are all over YouTube.
Proceed by drilling the first 3 holes.
Yeah, there's a pretty big market for it.
Mark says he can make 80% lowers but doesn't sell them. He is in the process of getting government clearance to sell a homemade pistol kit.
So we're going to be putting a kit out, and we need to talk to ATF and send them something to say, hey, is this do you consider this kit to be a gun or not a gun?
Law enforcement we spoke with say these untraceable gun parts appear to be a loophole in the law and fear it makes it easier for people who fail criminal background checks to build one.
And that concerns us. We don't see that often in Baltimore, but the fact that we saw one concerns us greatly.
Tampa Bay law enforcement agencies tell us they haven't seen anything like this on our streets. However, ATF Special Agent Dave Brown says he personally seized a fully automatic homemade gun. California passed a law requiring all homemade guns be registered regardless of what federal law states.
Hello, welcome. This is One India News and I am Akash. Today we bring you an exclusive video. In this video, we have captured an alien baby in Bihar. In the video, you can see that how people are shocked to see this baby who was born as an alien. Now let us tell you the story behind this boy. This video is taken all the way from Bihar, where a woman delivered this baby who looked like an alien. If you look at the back of his head, you can surely see that there is some hair on the back of his head, which gives a proof that this is a human baby. But this is surely a scientific miracle that how a baby could be born something like this. In the video, you can hear people screaming in amaze, saying that how could such a baby be born? Let us show you again this exclusive footage of this human baby who looks exactly like an alien that we do see in movies. Well, that's all for now, but for more news and updates, log on to oneindianews.com and please don't forget to like and share this video. Also, please don't forget to subscribe One India News YouTube channel.